So welcome back to another video. So I picked up these two mowers just for parts. I paid barely anything for them, but I was thinking of making one good mower out of two. I was thinking of making the outfield one on the right good again, as it's more complete, in better condition and just much better all round. I'm going to start by getting them both running just to see the condition of them working and what's what. So I'm going to start by checking the oil on this one, and as you can see I've had to straighten out the dipstick slightly as it was a bit bent. Oil is a bit dark, but at least it has some. Oil is a little bit over full, but I'm not going to worry about it at the moment. I realise there's only one air filter assembly for both of the mowers, so what I'm going to do is temporarily put that air filter assembly on the one that I'm working on at the time. So let's get some fuel in this and we'll see if we get lucky. Get the cap back on and we'll see if it starts, or at least tries to. As you can see, the choke engages and the brake is the flywheel brake is working correctly. So now we're going to give it some pulls and try for a start up. So as you can see, after several pulls it's not starting, so you know what that means. So we're going to start by pinching off the fuel, removing the fuel hose clamp, and finally taking off the fuel pipe of the carb. Then we're going to use our impact with a 10mm socket, and I'm going to take out these two bolts. So now the carb is loose, we can pull it off the engine, keeping tabs on where our linkages go. The front one is for your choke and the one at the back is for your throttle and engine speed. Bear this in mind when you reassemble. So I noticed something when I took the carb off. I noticed that this spring that sits around the shaft has come loose. So I put a better bend in the end of it and I wrapped it round more times to give it a bit more tension. And after I did that, it's working fine. As you can see here, the bend round the metal rod is better and it's returning how it should be. So now I'm going to crack the carb open with a 10mm socket on my impact. A spanner will do. Check the washer that's on this bolt, because if that's gone it will leak. So just tap the bowl off, sometimes it can get stuck. So now you're going to want to pull that pin out and that will release your float bolt and needle. And then give everything a visual inspection as it comes apart. There's your needle. Give everything a good wipe, a good clean. So now we're going to take our main jet out that's down the bottom of here. You need a flathead for this, and make sure you use quite a wide one. The emulsion tube is underneath, but you need to be careful with these. They're made of fragile metals, you don't want to strip them out. So now it's time to clean everything. So you just want to give everything a good spray down and a good wipe down. There's your emulsion tube. That sits underneath your main jet. So now you want to start with your main jet. Make sure that the strip is passing right through it. And give everything a spray through. Give your float a spray through. Give your main jet a spray through the middle. The same as your emulsion tube. You need to run that bit of wire through all the little holes. Make sure there's nothing in there. And finally, give it a spray through. And then after you've sprayed and cleaned all your little bits, make sure you give this bowl a good clean out, because this bowl is what holds your fuel before it goes into the engine. Give that all a good spray and clean out, both sides. And then finally clean all your passages on your carb. Don't just spray the outsides of it, you need to clean all those passages in and inside and out really. So now it's time to put everything back together the same way you took it apart. Your float should just slot right in, your needle into the hole, and then finally you want to put that pin through. Then you want to get your emulsion tube, drop that in the hole, and followed by your main jet, and screw your main jet down. Don't over tighten it. And put your bowl back on, make sure the nut is tight. Now to put the carb back on the mower, remembering your choke and throttle linkages. I'm going to now put on the fuel pipe because it's easier to do so at this stage than it is when you've got everything else back on, especially your air filter and that. And so don't forget your crankcase breather pipe. Slot that on first, and then you get your air filter assembly and put your bolts through it, and it will be easier because then you can push it on like that. And just don't forget to put that breather pipe on the back of the air filter housing. Then tighten it all down. Don't need to over tighten it, just nip it up. And finally put your air filter in and the cover. And we'll just grab a cable tie just to tie that on. So now we're going to go for a fire up. And first pull this time, it fired up and it's running how it should be. That's how it should be working. You should never have to pull a mower more than 3 or 4 times. It should start up straight away. So it's running how it should be, and the drive's working as well, and the drive's strong. So at least we know, even though this isn't the mower we're going to be using, at least it works, and we gave it a little test. So now we're going to move on to this one, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to check the oil first. I always check the oil first on any 4-stroke equipment. You want to make sure that there's oil in it. So I'm going to spray some starter fluid in here because I just want to see if it starts and dies. So we're going to try now, give it a pull, and it starts and dies straight away again. So again, we know this is going to be a fuel problem. So again, the carburettor probably needs a clean out. But before we go ahead and do that, we're just going to quickly make sure that it's all buttoned down nicely, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the air filter housing onto this mower now, because obviously we've only got one between the 2 mowers. So I'm going to put the air filter housing on, button it all back down again. So we're going to get all that buttoned down. Again, get a cable tie to tie that down as well, just to keep it from coming apart. So we're going to try our luck again. We're going to always try your luck before you start ripping things apart. Try your luck. So put some fuel in it and it starts, and it's running as well. But if you can hear in the video, it is over revving. So I just did some minor adjustments to the springs and it's running fine now. So at least we know that that mower's good. And give it another test, and it starts up first time, so now it's running how it should be, and it's not over revving once we've fiddled with those springs a bit. So after some testing I realised I had intermittent spark. So on this bit here, this is your kill switch. When you pull the brake lever, that bit of metal there is meant to come away from that tab, and that's how you're able to start your mower. By pulling that, as you can see, it comes away from that tab like that, and it wasn't doing that enough. So all I did was I just bent that tab away from that bit of metal slightly, and spark come back. So now I'm going to put the recoil back on, and that should be fine now. These are little things you have to check, because otherwise you'll be chasing a no spark issue, and really it's just a wire or something is grounding out. So now we're going to release these cables, because I want to change it to the other handle, because the other handle's still got the grip on it. So you just undo this screw down here for your throttle cable. So take your throttle cable away. Again, your brake cable just pops out. Unscrew your handle. And take it off, and then grab the other handle, the better one with the grip on it. That just slots back over. Take this drive cable off, because we don't need that anymore. It's no longer a drive mower. The drive was taken off it before I even got it. So we just take that off, and we just take this drive cable off. We can possibly use them in the future. Your brake cable just slots in like that, and then you want to do the same to your throttle cable down here. So you want to put it through behind that tab and pull it all the way tight to the left while your lever is on choke. Then tighten this screw right down as tight as you can get it, and then it should be fine. So we're going to top the oil up a little bit, because the oil's in good condition, but it's a tiny bit low, so I just topped it up slightly. So now we're going to take the blade off, and I'm going to start by cleaning this bolt up. And we're going to take it off, wedging a bit of wood and using our breaker bar. In my opinion, it's the best way to take bolts out. And we're going to get our flap disc on our grinder and give the blade a good edge all the way down both sides. Just on the top side, but both edges. As you can see, it's made a major difference. So now we're going to put it back on the same way we took it off, and just make sure that that bolt is tight. You don't want that coming flying off while you're cutting. Now let's test it properly on something now we've done this, and see the finished result. So I've just sped this up a little bit just to help, so you can see it's mulching how it should be. There's no grass left behind. There's no tufts anywhere. So if I was going to sell this, I would probably paint it up, paint the deck up, because even though the deck's solid still, it's a bit tatty and it's flaky a little bit. But if I was going to sell this, I probably would paint the deck up too. But it's running good anyway, and I'm probably going to keep it for myself, because I could do with a mulching mower. So I hope you like the video, and thanks for watching.
I'm just immune to it, G. You need to better your health. All while the world's still turning. Girls, I'm always gurning, not a throwaway transaction, but a hurdle.